His father died at 11 p.m. His wife died beside him. His son died in the same fire. And 9 days later, Mojtaba Khamenei sat on the most dangerous throne in the Middle East. Most people have never heard his name. That was exactly how he wanted it. For 30 years, Mojtaba Khamenei operated in complete darkness. No press conferences, no elections, no public record, just power. Raw, quiet, absolute power. But on February 28, 2026, American and Israeli missiles turned his silence into history. And what happened next is something no analyst fully predicted. Stay with this story, because the man who now controls Iran's nuclear future, its military, and its war decisions, is a ghost. And ghosts are the most dangerous kind of leader. Tehran, February 28, 2026, 11 p.m. local time. The strikes came without warning. CIA satellites had been tracking the compound for weeks. The intelligence was precise. The target was confirmed. And when the first missile hit the residence of Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei, 86 years old, the iron fist of the Islamic Republic for 37 years, the building collapsed in under 4 minutes. He was not alone. Inside that compound, Mojtaba Khamenei, the second son, the shadow operator, the man who had spent 30 decades building his father's security empire, lost everything in a single night. His father, his wife, Zahra, his son. Gone. The same strike, the same fire, the same 4 minutes. Satellite imagery released the following morning showed nothing but rubble where the residence once stood. Iranian state media went silent for 6 hours. Then, at 5 a.m. Tehran time, a single announcement. Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei was dead. The Islamic Republic had no leader. And somewhere in that burning city, a wounded, grieving son was already making calculations that would shake the entire world. Here is what most people do not understand about Mojtaba Khamenei. He was never supposed to be visible. Born in 1969 in Mashhad, northeastern Iran, he grew up watching his father get arrested by the Shah's secret police. He was a child during the 1979 revolution. He saw firsthand what happened to men who stood in the open. So he made a different choice. He learned to operate from the shadows. At 17, he joined the Habib Battalion, an IRGC volunteer unit fighting in the Iran-Iraq War, alongside a young commander named Qasem Soleimani. He fought in Beit al-Muqaddas II, Dawn 10, Mersad. He was not a general, he was not a hero. He was a learner, studying how power actually moves in wartime. Then he disappeared from public view entirely. For 2 decades, Mojtaba studied theology in Qom. He reached the rank of Hojat al-Islam, a mid-level clerical title, several steps below Ayatollah. He taught advanced seminary classes. He built quiet relationships with the most conservative clerics in Iran. Men who believed that the Islamic Republic must never compromise, never soften, never bend. But theology was never his real classroom. 2009 changed everything. When millions of Iranians poured into the streets after a stolen election, the Green Movement, the largest protests Iran had seen since 1979, the regime needed someone to crush it. Quietly, completely, permanently. That someone was Mojtaba Khamenei. He took control of the Basij militia, the paramilitary force responsible for street-level suppression. Under his direction, protesters were beaten, arrested, and disappeared. The movement collapsed within months. No accountability, no investigation, no names attached to the orders. That's the thing about Mojtaba. There are never names attached to the orders. Western analysts documented his role as the regime's gatekeeper, coordinating IRGC operations, managing intelligence networks, and allegedly manipulating election results. All from behind a curtain. All without a single official title. For 30 years, the most powerful man in Iran that nobody could officially point to. Until his father died. The Assembly of Experts convened 3 days after the strike. 88 elected Shia clerics, constitutional authority to select Iran's supreme leader, a process that took months when Ali Khamenei himself was appointed in 1989. This time, they had 9 days. Because the bombs were still falling, the assembly building had been partially destroyed in airstrikes. Members could not physically gather. 8 members threatened to boycott the emergency online session. IRGC officers were making personal phone calls and in-person visits to wavering members. The message was not subtle. By March 7th, resistance collapsed. By March 8th, state media announced a unanimous vote. Mojtaba Khamenei, mid-level cleric, shadow operator, grieving son, became supreme leader of the Islamic Republic. The first father-to-son transfer of power since the 1979 revolution. Donald Trump called it unacceptable. The IDF labeled Mojtaba a military target within hours of the announcement. March 12, 2026. 14 days after his father's death, 13 days after losing his wife, Mojtaba Khamenei issued his
Observe this
first
strategic
statement
location
as
on the map.
supreme
The laser
leader.
dot highlights the primary trade route. This area was pivotal for historical exchanges.
No calls for peace. No diplomatic language designed for Western audiences. It promised never-ending revenge. It confirmed the Hormuz blockade would continue. It rejected every American and Israeli demand. It framed his father's assassination as a humiliation that required a response the world had not yet imagined. Then he vanished. No public appearance, no confirmed location, no photograph. As of March 16, 2026, Mojtaba Khamenei has not been seen publicly since taking power. Iranian state media confirms he is alive, but nobody can say where. Analysts are divided on what comes next. The New Lines Institute published a stark assessment. His selection shows the regime losing coherence. A rushed dynastic handoff under active bombardment signals desperation, not strength. Experts note he holds a mid-level clerical rank, which creates a fundamental legitimacy crisis in a system built entirely on religious authority. Ali Vaez, counterterrorism associate professor, stated that centralizing authority in someone filled with personal animosity, someone who watched his family die, creates a leader whose decisions will be driven by revenge rather than strategy. The Washington Institute warns of nuclear acceleration. With Mojtaba's deep IRGC ties and zero interest in diplomatic compromise, analysts predict a push toward weapons capability as the ultimate survival guarantee. By March 14th, Iran had launched 53 waves of hypersonic missiles. The U.S. had destroyed 19 Iranian ships, 1 submarine, and over 2,000 confirmed targets. The war was not slowing down. It was accelerating.